about 7.5% fewer than the 836 active rigs in January of 2014. Drilling activity peaked in September of 2008 at a monthly average of 946 rigs before falling falling to roughly 329 in June of 2009, the start of the Depression. During the economic expansion that began in 2009, the state's annual monthly rig count peaked at 932. That was in May and June of 2012. That set Texas apart of much of the rest of the country. The number of Texas oil and gas payroll total of 301,700. That's according to statistics based from the Texas Workforce Commission. The Texas taxman and his counterpart in other big producing states are feeling the effect of the downturn. In the first half of 14, the first months of this year, some of the biggest producing states, the U.S. Energy Information Agency said, and this is where we'll get into the other states here, Texas, North Dakota, Alaska, and Oklahoma are four of the top producers, and they derive significant shares of their unrestricted operating revenue from taxes on oil and natural gas production. California produces more oil than Alaska and Oklahoma. Its economy is much larger and is relatively less affected in changes in oil and natural gas prices. Texas collects $583 million in tax receipts from oil and gas in August of 2014, but the tax revenue declined by 40% to $352 million in January, based on, of course, on state data there. And also through December, growing from $88 billion to $107 billion there. Last year, Texas oil and gas paid a record $15.7 billion in taxes and royalties, according to data from the Texas Oil and Gas Association. In North Dakota, tax revenues from production decreased from $323 million to $254 million in January. That's a 21% decline. Monthly production in North Dakota continued to increase in December, even as prices declined. Alaska relies on a revenue from crude oil for 90% of its operating budget. The state's revenues assume oil prices at $105 dollars per barrel, and gas revenue was estimated, oil and gas at $108 million, substantially higher than the $26 million received in January. Oklahoma collects $62 million from production taxes in August. Receipts declined to $43 million in January, a drop of 30% based on information from the Oklahoma Tax Commission, adding that the state's production was relatively flat during that period. This is on our Facebook page, and basically what is happening here, these states, Oklahoma, North Dakota, that had been anomalies in the economic sphere, and we didn't have Louisiana in here, are now beginning to go back to reality as pricing is out here. And the question is, are we now seeing a model, a global model, where oil production will move in a different, crude production will move in a different situation? First of all, the Saudis are set up where they can make long-term deals. We bring in the Russian Federation also, and it is in a position to bring about substantial business-like types of deals there, and Venezuela also there. So we'll see more modern pricing schemes. And as we see these modern pricing schemes, long-term plans, this will affect the crude oil market as far as what is in there now called risk, or as a commodity. In other words, if you want to take the risk out and very unstable prices, you negotiate stable prices, say, over 3 years. And that will guarantee you a certain price per gallon, and that will be a situation where you will immediately have more stable pricing. Russian Federation needs that. And also at the same time, states like Texas, for instance, and Alaska that have been relying on this very unstable commodity-driven speculation will come back to reality. In other words, crude oil pricing, say if it's at $100 a barrel, how much of that is pure speculation? How much of that is actual demand, a demand situation there based upon actual market fundamentals? This is one of the big problems that you have in a capitalist market. You don't have planning. In other words, how many million barrels per day we'll produce. What OPEC has decided to do is to keep their prices where they are, produce more product, which they can easily do, and stock up their storage facilities, thus stabilize prices. And when you're a very large producer, you can sell at less and still make a profit. And also at the same time, in looking at it long term, you put the fracking type producers in the Dakotas, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, in a bad way, because they are in trouble when it's below $100, and if it stays around $50, you can forget about the Keystone XL pipeline because it is not feasible there. And this also impacts the Canadian economy. We didn't really have time to get to it, but we shall in other presentations. Let me just look at the BBC here. And U.S. rebuffs U.K. over support for China Bank. Asian Bank prompts U.S. concerns. The U.S. has expressed concern over the U.K.'s bid to become a founding member of the China-backed Development Bank. The U.K. is the first big Western country to apply for membership. And the U.S. comes in on international governments. Don't have to worry about that. It says it would demand the bank adhere to strict banking situation. Let's see. A former economic advisor to G.W. Bush told BBC that the public chastisement for the U.S. Indicates the move might have come as a surprise. It's normal for the U.S. to be publicly scorning, not normal, the British there. And however, the Cameron spokesman said the U.K. Chancellor of the Exchequer, Osborne, discussed the measure with his U.S. counterpart before the announcement. In the statement announcing the UK's intention to join the bank, Mr. Osborne said that joining the ALB as a founding stage would create unrivaled opportunities for the UK and Asia to invest and grow together. In other words, they're moving where the opportunities are. And this is a new appearance of globalization. As China grows, that sector there of the world economy, more of the Western nations will move in that direction. And that, of course, impacts monetary policy in the U.S. The U.S. sees China's effort as a ploy to dilute U.S. control of the banking system, and has persuaded regional allies such as Australia South Korea and Japan to stay out of the bank. Well, they can stay out of the bank. It's really no big deal. Australia is a relatively small economy. Japan is in deflation. And Japan not being in the bank, as far as China is concerned, is no big deal. In our opinion, it's a mistake with them. Some 21 nations came together last year to sign a memorandum for the bank's establishment, including Singapore, India, and Thailand. The Australian Tory Prime Minister offered lukewarm support. Doesn't really matter. The problem Australia has is they are tied very, very deeply to Asia. Banking experts estimated it will take its face value. The world gives China a 67% share in the new bank. Well, that is where we are, and one can expect those kinds of deals will move on. Let's do the markets now. And this will be Friday unless otherwise noted. And if the markets are down or in the negative, we'll report that. This is on Friday. The FTSE was down 20.49. In, let's see, Amsterdam, 0.84. In Frankfurt, the DAC was at 102.22. In Paris, they were at 23.13. In Brussels, 12.15. And in Madrid at 22. In Zurich at 36.21. In Moscow, they were down 36.82. In Johannesburg, they were also down 294.82. In Bombay, they were down 155.87. In Karachi, 345.31. In Lahore, 25. They were down in Colombo at 17.82 in the negative. And in Tehran on Wednesday, 217.30. In Sydney, they were down 28. The Nikkei at 263.14, good day for them. The Hang Seng at 25.25. And in Shanghai, they were 23.58. And in New York, they were down 145.91. The Nasdaq was down 21.53. The Merc, that's a commodities market, was down 12.55. In Sao Paulo, they were also down 284.59. And in Mexico, they were down 53.60. And a quick look at Brent crude, and we'll see where they were. Brent crude was down $2.48, or 4.3%, at $54.60. The spot was down $1.56 at $56.43. Texas Intermediate crude down $2 at $45.05. T-Bone Pickens jumping for joy today. It was $15 a barrel. Gold and Dubai gold, Dubai gold was up $2.40 at $1,155.20. The Forex was down 25 cents, a quarter, as we say in the U.S., at $1,152. And silver was down 18 cents, resting at $15.50. Cocoa was down $20. Coffee was down $2.40. We like to get these commodity prices down. Sugar was down 51 cents. And let's see, corn futures down $8. Soybean futures down $16.54. That's a bushel there. Soybean oil was also down 38 cents. Everybody's down. Cocoa futures